got one overarching tip, and then I'm going to show you how to implement it in 3 different tools. So that brings me in my mind to 4 tips. So I think we're pretty good. So let me talk about what this big overarching tip is. So in all the work I do training people with email, I find people tend to have a system for managing their email. And that system is that they open their email and they read an email message and they think, oh, that's something I have to do. So they're like, how am I going to remember that I've got to do this? I know, I'll mark this message as unread again. So if you're watching on live, you might be going, oh, yes, that's me. That's my system. So this is not a great system, because what happens is you end up with all these unread messages in your inbox, some of which you actually haven't read yet. So they're genuinely unread, and some of which you have read, but you've got to remember to follow up on. So your poor brain is trying to be like, which messages should I look at first? So my tip is to get a better system, right? That is #1 tip. And I want to show you how to do that in a few different tools. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump in and share my screen in just a sec. But before I do that, the system that I use is actually adopted from the Getting Things Done methodology, which is by a great guy called David Allen. If you've not looked at that methodology, it's definitely worth checking out. So yeah, just to call out, that's some of the principles I'm using today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So let me just rearrange my windows, just a minute. And what I might do is turn off that caption too, so you guys can see my screen. All right, let's share that. So hopefully now what you are seeing is Gmail, which is going to be the first tool I'm going to show you how to apply this in. Once we've done that, I'm going to show you in Outlook on the web, then I'm going to show you in Outlook on the desktop as well. So here we are in Gmail. Now on the left, you'll see I've got my label list, and I have a label called follow up and a label called waiting for. And these are my key little labels for actually indicating what I have to do with a message. Now follow up is fairly obvious. I have to follow it up. Waiting for is a little bit different. So often we leave things in our inbox, and sometimes we leave them as unread because we're waiting for someone to get back to us. And this is something we need to remember, which is great. But again, it's like one other reason that things are in our inbox and we have to keep reassessing emails. So what I do is use these labels. Now I go a little bit one step further. So you'll see in this inbox, I've got the unread section at the top. And then I've got actually dedicated sections, one for all my emails that I need to follow up, and one for all the emails that I'm waiting for. So what happens in the morning is I come in and I work through my inbox, and I actually work bottom to top, but that's a whole other story. I would open a message and I would say to myself, do I need to do something with this? Now, if the answer is no, then that message needs to be either filed away, archived. In some rare cases, it might be deleted, right? So great, get rid of that. Or I might delegate it to somebody else. If it's something I do need to do, then my question is, can I do this in 2 minutes or less? And if the answer is yes, then you should do it now. And this all comes from the Getting Things Done methodology, which, as I said, you should check out. So if it's 2 minutes or less, do it. If it is longer than that, that's where my little labels come into it. So if I've got this message open, I come up the top to my label and I just pop on the follow-up label and apply it. You'll see it's a big, big red label. It really stands out. Now, another way to do this is you can actually drag the label over to the message, which is the tip people tend to love. Then what I do, I don't mark it as unread again. Leave it as unread and it will pop down into your follow-up section down the bottom here. Now, if you want any tips on actually doing this, what I'll do in the comments below this video is I'll pop a link to a blog post on how to set up these labels and how to set up this split inbox view. So I've got blog posts on both of those that you can check out. So key thing though, these are just these follow-up and waiting for labels are just like all the other labels in the list. The key thing is that I put a color on them and I put a dash in front of the name so that they stay at the top. You can use any symbol instead of a dash. This split view here is something you can get to in the settings, into settings, and in the inbox section. So it's actually a priority inbox that I have heavily customized. So more details in the blog post, but that gives you a starting point. Okay, so hopefully all good. Now I'm coming over now to Outlook on the web to show you a implementation of this same system. So all the same principles, but here in Outlook on the web. Now this is my favorite version of Outlook to use. I think it's really clean, really simple to follow, and it's got some great features that you don't necessarily see in the desktop version of Outlook. So you'll see I've done a similar thing. I've actually set up waiting for and follow up, but I've set these up as categories in Outlook. So I'm just going to actually open this message. So if you want to set up categories, so easy ways when you've got your message open, or you can go into the settings, you can come up to the categorize and you've got your categories listed there. And if you go into manage categories, you can actually create new categories. So that's what I've done, and I've created one called follow-up, one called waiting for, and you'll see I've ticked the little selected the little star option here, because that means it's added it to my favorites, which live on the left here. So when I get a message in Outlook, same principle, I use that 2-minute rule of, doesn't need action. Yes, can it be done in 2 minutes? Do it. If not, put a waiting for label on it. So I can just open it up, come up to categorize and select follow up or waiting for. I should have said before. 2 minutes, you might want to, if you can't do it in 2 minutes, you probably want a follow up label, not a waiting for one. So now that I've got it on there, in my inbox, it's got the big red label, so it stands out. And then if I want to see all my follow ups, all my waiting for emails in one place, I just click over on the left here and I can see them all together. Now, there's currently no way to kind of have that split view here in Outlook on the web, but I think it's still a really big improvement, just being able to have those labels and then being able to see them all together. And again, just make sure you're not leaving the messages marked as unread. All right, so let's jump in now to Outlook on the web. Now, apologies, I know this is a little bit small, so if you're squinting right now, it's not your eyesight. It is a little bit small on my screen. And unfortunately, I can't zoom this easily during the live stream, so you're just gonna have to bear with me and I'll talk you through it. So same deal in here, I'm using a category, a waiting for and a follow-up category, but you can set it up a little bit different here. There's a couple of ways to do it. So in terms of creating those categories, on your home tab in the categorize section, if you go into all categories, you can actually either rename existing categories or you can create new ones. So I just chose the red for follow-up and the blue for waiting for, whatever works for you. So you can configure that in here. So now I've got two things happening. One is in my favorites list on the left, I've actually got the category listed, and I'll show you shortly how I did that. And then what I'm actually doing is I've got this inbox view here set up. So what that actually is in the view section, I have turned on the categories option, which means it shows my categories in the inbox. And then what I've done on the far right, and I know it's tiny, but I've actually clicked the little sort arrow and made it go Z to A. So it puts my two key categories on the top, my waiting for and follow up, and then all my rest of my messages underneath that. So that's how that works for me. Now, in terms of setting up these little things in the favorites, because you don't see your categories natively here in the left list of folders on the left, you need to set it up as a search folder. And how you do that is down the bottom, you should see search folders. You can just right click and go new search folder. You can also do it, I think, on the search menu. So I went into there, scroll down a little bit, and I'm looking for a search folder that has categorized mail. I go in and choose whichever category I want. So that will, so if I go, for example, yellow, that will then create here a, oh, where's it gone? It's not popped up. Don't you love that? Oh, there it is. Sorry, I didn't name it. It's just called categorized mail. So you've got to actually name it. So I did a mistake there, did the wrong thing, but that's okay. What I can show you from here, once you've created that search folder, you just right click it and then you can say add to favorites and it will come up to the top there. Okay, so that is it for today. I'll just turn off my screen share and my camera should come back on and I can see you guys. So thank you so much. I hope that helps you with organizing your email. As I said, we'll put links to blog posts below this video. If you've got any questions, you're welcome to leave a comment there. I'm happy to come in and answer it. So thanks for watching 10-minute tips over to you with using technology better. Mike, our boss, will be back tomorrow. A Good Friday special. He's going to talk about keeping your tasks organized. So thanks so much for watching.